And so welcome to sort of On the Frontline. We appreciate everyone who joins us every week. We have a really good schedule for you today. And so we will get started. Looks like we have a couple of other people joining us right now. Anyway, so On the Frontline, for those of you just joining, was started about 2 months ago when I realized that we had some unique insights in the marketplace that we wanted to share. So we will get started. Great, so we're very happy to have our special guest today, Nino Bergfeld, who is the retail technology expert. I've known Nino for a couple of years, and we're going to be activating Nino a little bit later in the show. But he and I have been working for the past week on the presentation, which Nino is going to give you. So stand by, and thanks for joining, Nino.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So the World Retail Forum is something very much like in the age of COVID. We've been talking to about 1,000 retail executives over 50 countries, and the feedback we got was it would be great to share best practices from around the world, and we've got that coming for you next week, starting with Asia. And so the people that we're going to be focusing on is shopping centers, global brands, investors, architects, and our executives. These are the information needs that we're getting, that we've used to create the program. And we basically found over the past 3 years that there are 8 things that drive success in retail. And so basically, unique value proposition. We're going to be talking about the use of technology, but the use of technology is really also, how does that technology touch the human? How do we train people? How do we manage for change? So there you go. And basically, the World Retail Forum is going to be next week, 9 o'clock, and then the following 2 weeks. We're going to do Asia first, and we'll get into that in a second. So the Asia program will be anchored by Kevin Pang, who is the Secretary General of the CCFA. The CCFA is the China Chain Store Federation and Alliance, and it's the largest retail association and convenience store and restaurant association in the world. And we're very happy to have members of McDonald's. The CMO of McDonald's will speak about how they've dealt with the change in China. We'll have the T11 supermarket, which was basically developed by engineers, not from the grocery industry, so software engineers developed it. Rainbow is one of the largest shopping centers and in China, as well as basically there's the chain store, Calstafa. It basically is a grocery store, and Retail X is a group from New Zealand. So we pretty much got the Asia covered. Christine will be delivering her speech to us in English, which is terrific. And most of the other speeches are in English, or sessions are in English, so it'll be easy to understand. I must just take a break because I've been on the phone with Gibraltar this morning, and also New Zealand and China, and the people that you're going to see next week and hear from, you are going to be amazed. And you're going to be amazed, I believe, because you're going to be getting a level of thinking that it's rare to get exposed to. There's also different cultural approaches to how they're solving this. And so I can almost guarantee you that for every speaker, you're probably going to get at least 5 new ideas and 5 validations about what you're doing. Many in the US, we're just opening up here in New York this week, and they're very concerned. So what I've seen is panic from people. This is going back to March. I'm seeing concern in the last couple of months, but in June, I'm seeing something called the smile. The smile is coming back, and I saw the smile in China about a month ago. I saw the smile in New Zealand yesterday. So people are realizing that there is life after COVID, and for example, the restaurant category that's been hit really hard is back up to about 70% in China. So we're doing the World Retail Forum, and one of our speakers is the supervisory chairman of Thalia, which is a company that's been around since 1801. And I can guarantee you, in talking with Leaf, that you're going to get at least 5 to 10. Wow. I mean, they basically figured out contact tracing in March. So private industry really was on top of this big time. This has really significantly helped Thalia's brand. They have created a portal where they have other bookstores and grocers using that portal. So, if you're paying attention, as we all are during a crisis like this, you literally can transform your business as they have. We have a tremendous lineup for New York, for the US rather. Vibhu, who basically is a Google Nest engineer, created Beta in about 5 years ago. And Vibhu thinks of retail as software. So again, I guarantee you probably at least 10 ideas that you hadn't thought of when you listen to what Vibhu has to say. So one of the things that we talked about 2 weeks ago was the fact that one company, a luxury company that opened in Montreal, which normally their sales associates were seeing 45 people a week, we're up to almost 100 using a CRM tool. And Nino will talk about that shortly. So the use of technology has become critical, and every single speaker that you'll hear from for the next month will tell you that that the speed to market and the urgency to act is almost universal. Speaking with our Chinese people from Rainbow executives, they basically said the same thing. And Leaf, who is the chairman of the advisory board of Thalia, said that all of our plans over the next 5 years have been accelerated for the next 12 months. So companies like Salesforce and others are so well positioned because they've been working on this for about a decade. So we're going to see a level of security, but I don't think it necessarily is going to be as intrusive as we've seen and I discussed about 2 weeks ago. Businesses have changed rapidly. Kroger has completely re-engineered their pickup, as we've seen. A really good example of a country and a city really out of the box is what we talked about a month ago, which is Shanghai's Double Five Festival, which started on May 5th and ends in June and covers basically 3 of China's big retail holidays. In the first day, they did I think it's $2.2 or $2.3 billion of sales. And the way it works is that the Shanghai Business Improvement District has issued 10 billion vouchers and created around 40,000 extra parking spaces in Shanghai to get retail back, and it's working. Here's probably the most important thing that we've talked about, but not in about a month. Normally, inflection points like a printing press or the invention of the radio or the internet in '95 or smartphones in 2007 have an effect over a period of a generation, a decade. But in the case of COVID-19, I call this as light switch. So it's super important for everyone, if you don't remember a single thing on this call, to remember that we are in a light switch inflection point, which means the change has occurred. And those who are doing extraordinarily well, like T11, Thalia, and others, have embraced it, and they're full force leaning into it. Things are becoming optimistic. I mean, Disneyland in the United States, which was closed, has opened. It's about 50% capacity. And Disneyland Shanghai opened about a month ago. So, we are getting back to normal. The smiles are resuming. So we got this every week we do polling data, and this was really the basis for inviting Nino on the call today, because what we found was that 62% of retailers feel that the use of technology in business is now essential, and that basically, they're using the same technology to train their teams. So what I want to do is to really hand it over to Nino, and then Nino, just help me to advance your slides when at the appropriate point, because here's a guy who has basically covers half the world. So Nino, over to you.
Thank you, Dan. Happy to be here in the call and spot on what you just said earlier, and that's exactly the discussions we are having with our customers. So in retail, it has never been easy. There's plenty of technology involved. It's a complex customer journey, which you can also see here, from awareness to consideration, transaction, service, and loyalty. And Corona, that's one of the major impacts that Corona had. One of the major sales and also communication channels has been shut for retail overnight. And the impact, you can see it everywhere. It's short labor, it's bankruptcies, its customers don't spend any money anymore on surplus goods anymore. And for retail, but for any other industry, there is going to be a normal. Next slide. So we are transitioning basically from this old normal that we call it, where, as I said, retail anyway has been a challenge to find that customer and accompany him, personalized, and make that journey that we've seen earlier connected, personalized, and real. And now we are faced with a new reality in COVID-19, and basically every retailer I'm talking to is faced with the question: how does the normal look like? Because we're not going back to the old normal as we have known it. And one of the very important and major questions that we are discussing with C-levels across EMEA today is: what are no regret actions that you can actually take right now? What do you have to make sure and take care of without preventing you from any future actions that you can take on? And next slide. We at Salesforce, we are busy planning and looking into the future. We have invested a lot of time and energy into planning those scenarios. And here's a structured approach, how we see the way out of this crisis. So basically track number one, and I see the world moving out of that slowly, especially in retail, from stabilization to reopen. And reopen is mainly about: how do I reopen my stores? Yeah, you mentioned Leaf from Talia earlier. How do I ensure safety of my customers, but also employees? And thirdly, how do I look ahead? And a lot of retailers I'm talking to, and also consumer goods brands, they're already in that motion. Yeah? They have reopened or in the process. If they have a global footprint, they still are, but they're all in the growth mode. Yeah? How can I be more digital? And we are providing 4 categories to structure thinking. Number 1 is how you make decisions. Number 2, how you work. Number 3, how you engage customers. And I have a lot of examples in the remainder of this presentation. And 4th, how you serve society. Next slide. Just up front and very quickly, 30 seconds, I would be very interested from the customers and prospects on the call. Where are you in your response journey right now? Stabilize? Have you reopened? Or are you also in that growth thinking that I just described? Would be great if you can just answer the poll quickly. Salesforce, but that shouldn't be the focus. We have for every phase: stabilize, reopen, and grow. We have a solution and an answer. A lot of customers who are actively using our technology to change, to mitigate impact of the Corona crisis, but already on the right column, how to grow and get out of this crisis mode. Next slide. And now in the last couple of minutes, I would love to also show you a little bit from my experience, from our experience, from our customers who are using our technology, and also from other customers in the industry, where I just thought, hey, this is a very good example of digitally engage with consumers and mitigate Corona impact. So on the next slide. First example, so we do this very rough because they are all easy concepts, but in sum, they all mean a pretty good management of that customer journey that we've seen earlier. So number 1, appointment booking, very important. So we have Kennedy, that's an Australian luxury boutique, if you don't know them. and it's very easy to engage with them once or since stores are closed or store is full. If you have capacity limits like we have in Germany, it's easy. Just take a screenshot of a QR code on the front door and book an appointment on your smartphone. You can pick, is it a 1-hour counseling service? Are you going to get married? You need some more time probably, but it's important for you and also the store rep to make sure you're lined up for that. And this is an event which is really personalized for you. Next slide.
Just
also very powerful.
Yeah, question, Nino. So on this one, this is just part of the regular app. Kennedy's regular app. You can do all this on the regular app.
Yeah, we have partners. So you will see it later on in the last slide. So Salesforce is a platform for your success, where you can build your business on without taking care of the heavy plumbing. We do that for you. We're a cloud software as a service company, and we allow our customers like Kennedy to focus on the things that actually provide value, to move fast in crisis and times like this, and create use cases that actually add value to customers. And we have also a huge partner network like Proximity Insight in that case, who have built a very specialized app on our platform. Yeah, you can think of it like a Lego or a Lego analogy. We have all the toolboxes and the Lego pieces, and you just need to puzzle it together and create a very cool, easy to understand and value-adding use case. And Proximity built that in that case for Kennedy boutiques.
Great,
and we will see some more, like Rituals, yeah, another partner, Van Eigen's power of a conversation and Rituals. So Rituals for me is a very good example of how you can really center your processes and your thinking around the customer. It's not that you force someone to download an app. I mean, you can, fine, if you want to do that. But the channel a customer, a consumer is in already is a messaging channel, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. And they make it very easy, and that's another good case. If stores are closed, but you still want to have a very personalized relationship to your customers, to reach out to Rituals via Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, ask a question, and you get all the information, the browsing that you typically do on an e-com portal. You get it in the conversation, and you can also check out via integrated payment. Also very powerful. Next slide. So then we have virtual counseling sessions at next slide.
Yeah.
Next on next slide, you will see virtual counseling session at Harrods, another luxury department store. Also making sure that you can ensure this personalized, intimate relationship that you have typically with a customer. If the customer is in front of you, and transition it to a digital channel and use all of the tools, visual, voice, to make this a very, very personalized experience, and also tackle all the business KPIs that are involved, yeah, like minimize return rate, increase average basket size, and so on. And again, make it very seamless and easy for the customer to check out and pay via a simple link in an email or another conversational channel. Again, a good idea and best practice to mitigate store closures, for example. Next slide is also a pretty interesting case from Italy that our colleagues there have been working on with Coop. So you can actually, you have limits how many people can be in a store, and you need to take care of that because the government is kind of monitoring that. So you also want to make sure that customers don't have to line up and wait for hours in front of a store. And so Coda Casa is Coop's approach on our platform to queue upfront at home, queue management at home. That's the value proposition. You don't have to be in front of the store. You just drive there for your slot that you have been agreed on. You get checked in by a store rep, and that's it. Great customer experience, and also Coop has customer data. Also very good example, testing out live commerce, live streaming, where you have actually a closed store. They hired an influencer showing a lot the assortment on screen and all the associated product feeds underneath. So you also get a very personalized counseling, and at the same time you can do a transaction straight away. Again, store is closed, but you bring this store offline experience to a digital channel. So that's, from all the examples we have seen so far, that's really a pattern that we see, and that will also stay and not go away after Corona. Next case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things we're seeing, Nino, is across the many of the retailers that we've talked to are setting up live streaming studios. In the case of China, they have what's called shops, where people go into the store and they're actually able to buy. It's like QVC for those of you
Yeah.
who are in the United States, on a mobile phone. So this is a real big area that companies to a large degree have not touched, but we'll see what this will be one of the outgrowths of COVID-19.
Bow concept also we can go over quickly. Also very interesting. You can virtually go through a store. Yeah, again, stores closed. You need to do it virtually, and you can use all the haptic elements, sound, visual, and also even measure. Yeah? I took a screenshot of measurement. You can even measure and look at the goods from all angles, and then also do a transaction and deep link into products. Next case, two more, and then we are almost done. Personalized in-store experience, also very important, especially if stores are reopening now. You need to provide this personalized customer experience that customers are very used to in a digital world, digital online e-com, pretty easy, but you need to make sure that this is also the experience they get in store. Customer 360 record, order management, ship to home, click and collect, task management, all the things that you need to give your store employees and also train them. You have to make that sure, like matches fashion here in this case, and also a possibility to reach out via direct messaging channels. Again, Facebook, WhatsApp, or in Asia, WeChat is very imperative to make this great customer experience.
So just a question,
yeah.
Nino. So is this from the points of view of the sales associate who is dealing with Jenny Chow?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if I'm Chris, the sales associate, then I can provide Jenny with different options for her, customized to her sort of her basket. Is that correct?
Exactly. It brings basically the online profile into the store.
That's really significant because there was an example of a luxury store that opened in Montreal. They didn't open, but their date to open was April 1st. So they opened virtually. And through using tools like this that Nino has outlined, they're actually able to do $1 million in the first 18 days being closed. And the sales associates assigned to that store, which would normally a normal store would do about 45 interactions a week. They were doing 100. So, I mean, this works, and it worked really well.
Yeah, clienteling at home. We have also a lot of cases on our platform showing exactly what you just said. So spot on then. And store as the warehouse, also very interesting. I see a lot of stores now being used as a distributed warehouse, not just having a central warehouse for stores and e-com, but also actually using stores to pick and pack, which means a lot or shorter lead times until you get actually your product. So I think this is a big trend that will also stay after Corona. And then last slide, Gucci humanizes the online experience. I really like that because there's a big strategy behind it. It actually started before Corona, but now they're heavily benefiting from it. So Gucci is delivering a very personalized service out of their centralized service center called Gucci 9. You can Google it. It's publicly available, and they outfitted a service center like a store. You can see here, and you can also dial in and again get a very human experience in a digital channel. Great example to see or how to join the best from online and offline. And with that, on the last slide, thank you for listening. For all of that, as I said, it's very important to have a platform that works for you, that you can put in place and make sure that you spend your very crucial retail money and your very small margins that you typically have in retail and create actually customer value and not start from scratch and do the heavy plumbing every time. And we have a platform for that. If you're interested, just reach out via email or via Dan, and we are happy to answer any further questions and get in touch.
No, I'm happy we can go over this a little bit longer if you want, but if you have any questions, please let us know. We just launched a poll too, so if you could please take a look at the poll and answer some of the questions. If you have any questions, we're ready to take them or not. But I mean, one of the questions is so Nino, looks like you're structured by vertical. So, so you are the retail expert for Salesforce and EMEA. And how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a platform, Salesforce Customer 360, as you can see here, and we are heavily verticalizing. Yeah? So retail is one of the top industries that we are focusing on, and I'm one of the representatives for retail in EMEA. So understanding retail very well on the one hand, and on the other hand, understanding our solution portfolio very well, and just bringing together the best of two worlds. And that's why I'm also having a lot of those exact conversations, because I understand both worlds actually.
You really captured one of the things that the folks at Talia talked about was on one of your slides, probably about 4 or 5 back, was a crisis command center. And in speaking with some of the Chinese retailers yesterday, they had the same structure, which was they were meeting every day, almost like a scrum meeting for software. And they were discussing, you know, what it was. They were doing their own contact tracing, where one of the employees that came in to work had contacts to about 70 people. And so I think Talia's got about 500 people in headquarters. So what they did was they immediately, before the government issued any guidelines, started to isolate. So yeah, you've got so many, what I love about, and thank you so much, I know you put a lot of time into this, but what I love about your approach is that really almost any best practices that we've come across has been, you know, represented from employee training to clienteling, and then the industries that you serve. So are you, just for those who may not be as familiar with Salesforce, if I have, you know, Dan's grocery store to, you know, Tesco or Walmart, is that fairly much your range of the customers you're dealing with?
So yeah, that's important. We are dealing with almost any customer size. Yeah, I get a lot of questions around, is Salesforce too big? Is it too small for me? We are a software as a service company, and we are working with companies from 1 seat, startups, to 100,000 seats. It's really, we are that scalable engine, as I said, that allows you to focus on your business and just power this holistic customer journey that we've seen earlier.
You're very generous with your insights. You know, and I appreciate that. If I am, and I know you have to go in a couple minutes. If I am a customer, for example, Dan's grocery store, would you be? Is your approach to be able to sort of educate me as to, as you said earlier on one of your first slides, this was pre-COVID. This is the new normal. Is that your approach? Sort of a consultative approach?
Yes. So we are a platform for change. We are not just a technology vendor. And I personally was working with big brands like Adidas, for example. And it's really crucial to understand the business and act as a partner rather than just a technology vendor. So it has a lot to do with understanding the business, number one, and then consulting accordingly. Also, good question.
Good.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. I have to leave. I need to catch another customer call. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining. And please mark your calendars for next week to the World Retail Forum. Thank you, and have a great day.